Tracy Walder is with us to talk more about this. NewsNation contributor, former CIA and FBI agent. So this is a major development. I think when we first learned of the arrest of Rex Heuermann, it felt as though this was the beginning of the floodgates opening. Some answers into all of these unexplained murders dating back 20-plus years. What did he say there that stood out to you investigatively that moves this case forward in a big way?
Well, thank you so much for having me, Marni. And I think you're absolutely right. You hit the nail on the head with that. I think this is just the floodgates starting to open, or the tip of the iceberg. I think him talking about the fact that, and I hate to be gruesome here, but her body was found, 2 decades almost apart. That is probably what helps them make a buildable DNA profile that they could use to conduct that genealogical DNA. And so I think that's key here, because some of the bodies have not been found necessarily intact, and you may not have enough to build a DNA profile. But it sounds like now in some of these bodies that they are recovering, and in some of these missing persons around this area that they're recovering, that they may now be able to obtain enough to make buildable DNA profiles that they can compare.
So buildable DNA profiles, so one, they can identify these victims, but two, you have a man behind bars accused in the murder of 3 and potentially 4 women. How soon before they're able to connect those dots and either say he is a suspect in this case or not? As we learn, they're asking for more of his DNA.
So that's the million-dollar question. New York is different, quite frankly, than a lot of states, and I'm not sure if that's good or bad. The vast majority of states, once a person is arrested for a crime, misdemeanor, or a felony, they have a buccal swab taken, and then that is entered into CODIS. Not in New York. In New York, you have to be convicted of the crime, and then that swab can be taken. And I do think that's partially why the prosecution is asking right now for a swab to be taken of Heuermann, because I do think that once that is taken and once that's entered into CODIS, we will see more connections. There may be other reasons as well. Maybe there's issues with the DNA samples that they have from his wife's hair and from the pizza crust that I'm uncertain of. But this is a big deal, the fact that they cannot take his DNA in the state of New York until he has been convicted of a crime.
Right. That was what I was wondering, is maybe they don't have a solid match, right? They need something additional. His attorneys also don't have to cooperate and give his DNA, right? That will be debated in court. A judge ultimately will decide that.
Absolutely. I think the hearing for that is August 8th, but I could be incorrect on that. Yes, a judge will ultimately decide that. He does not have to cooperate. His attorneys do not have to cooperate. And I suspect, this is just my opinion, that they may not cooperate. Again, there could be issues with the DNA that was pulled from the pizza crust, although it was a 99.6% match. That could be why prosecutors are asking for that swab. Again, I'm just hypothesizing here, but I suspect law enforcement would really want those swabs to be able to connect it to any other DNA that they are able to find from some of these unidentified victims.
Investigatively, they pulled a lot of evidence out of that home after about a 2-week search. They dug up the backyard. They tore the inside of the house upside down. What evidence do you think may be most compelling that has come out of that search as they share with the defense? Here's what we've got.
So I thank you for asking that question, because, look, I think DNA is very important. Clearly, it can be the nail in the coffin for, a defendant. But I also think, too, sometimes we forget about the other evidence that, in my opinion, can be just as compelling. So in this case, I think any digital data, I believe they removed multiple terabytes of data from his home, from hard drives and from computers. I have a feeling that is going to be very damning for him. We know that they didn't find human remains at his house, but I think from an investigative standpoint, at least I know I always appreciated getting digital data at the CIA and FBI. Was always a treasure trove for me in terms of connecting the dots of that, because the reality is a lot of people don't know the intricacies of how to sort of wipe that data. And so I do think he probably left quite a digital footprint, and I think that is going to play huge in terms of what the prosecution has to ultimately, hopefully, convict him.
Right. And we already know his extensive internet searches about the case. He was stalking some of the victims' families online. They've got cell phone data and these internet searches as well, in addition to the DNA. It's such a compelling and chilling case. And again, another development this morning. Tracy Walder, as always, thank you. Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.